enormous resources to that, and it is right and appropriate for us to be vigilant and aggressive in trying to deal with that. The same way that a big city mayor's got to cut the crime rate down if he wants that city to thrive.
All right, there he is comparing, again, the fight on terror to, how you would treat a bank robber. And when he says in his statement today, by the way, he didn't come out and say anything about the death of our American citizen at the hands of ISIS. Rather, he released a statement saying those responsible will be brought to justice. You know what he means by that? He means bringing him back to the courtroom in New York City to stand trial with a lawyer and every right that American citizens have. That's what he means by face justice. Joining us now, as I calm down, is Dinesh D'Souza, of course, a conservative author and filmmaker. Hello, Dinesh. How are you, sir?
Hey, it's always a pleasure.
I love talking to you, my friend. Okay, so what's your take on the president's statements to this TV station? He gave an interview where you just heard what he said about comparing fighting terror to a mayor fighting crime. We know that he says the media has overhyped the threat of terror. We know that he even went so far as to invoke climate change as a bigger threat to national security than terrorism.
You know, you have these, you've had powerful ideological movements through history. We can think about the rise of the Bolsheviks. We can think about the rise of the Nazis in the 1930s. Now, imagine if you were looking at something like that, an ideological movement motivated by a shared belief system, in this case, radical Islam, in the case of ISIS or Al-Qaeda, and you looked at that and you somehow were able to edit out all the motivations of the group itself. And then you just declared them to be a band of garden variety criminals. This would be blindness on an incredible scale. I think with Obama, we've got to realize we're not just dealing with normal blindness and inability to see that these guys are motivated by Islam or that they are actually practicing terror. He can see that. But it's ideologically important for him to deny it. He's denying it not because he doesn't see. He's seeing it and deciding to ignore the facts. And that's a very troubling phenomenon in a leader.
So, you know what comes to mind? I've never quite heard it put that way. You know, people on the right or people who disagree with whether it's global warming or climate change or other things have been called by the left deniers. Would you call Obama, in effect, a Islamic terrorism denier?
He denies the connection to Islam. It's not that he denies the killing itself. He denies A, that it's Islamic, and B, that it's terrorism. And I'm saying that if someone does that, they're unable to give even the most basic description of what is happening in front of them. It's sort of kind of like watching the Nazi concentration camps and denying A, that it's Nazism that's motivating it, and B, that it's targeting of the Jews. He just says there's a lot of violence going on here, there's a lot of gas, there are a lot of people dying, but refusing to actually describe what's happening in front of you. So there's a willful...
Well, let me give you another one. Along the lines of what you're saying, Dinesh, let me give you another one. The president in that same interview talked about the randomness of the shooting at as he put it, the market or the deli in Paris. Now, they targeted a kosher deli or a kosher bakery expecting Jews to be in there. And the defense of that statement by the president's spokesman today was, well, not everybody in there was Jewish, and, they didn't target people by name. That is as asinine as saying people who, God forbid, invade a church or a synagogue, well, they didn't know who they were killing. There might have been some non-Jews or Christians in there. They didn't target them by name. I mean, to deny, as he is doing, and doubling down today, and Jen Psaki tripled down today, to deny that it was targeting the French Jewish community is obscene.
It is obscene. I think what Obama's been trying to do, now this goes back to his prayer breakfast speech, he's attempting in a very subtle way to, by creating a false moral equation, shift the onus, or at least rebalance, so that we are just as much to blame as they are. And in this case, of course, with the prayer breakfast, he was equating the sins of medieval Christianity, namely the Crusades, with the contemporary terrorism of ISIS. Now, leaving aside the fact that all of this happened with the Crusades over 1,000 years ago, it's important to remember that the Crusades themselves were a response to Muslim conquest. The Muslims not only conquered the Holy Land, they conquered parts of Italy, all of Spain. They were at the gates of Vienna. And had the Christians not fought back, most likely all of Europe would have fallen into Muslim hands. So not only are the Muslims to blame for ISIS, they're also to blame for the Crusades.
Yeah, no, it's just incredible. Let me ask you your opinion on Brian Williams. You care to weigh in on that?
Well, I think that this is another, kind of liberal con man whose con is finally up. I mean, these are guys who have been massaging and manipulating facts for a long time. Finally, Brian Williams just gets sort of, trapped. I just read today, somewhat comically, that he actually wants to go door to door to all his viewers and talk to them about his, I guess his lying habit. Yeah, I think this is a case where mainstream journalism has been getting away with massaging the story, and it's finally coming back to haunt him.
Yeah. Do you think he survives this, Dinesh?
Well, I just saw a poll in which he has gone in a very short time from being the 23rd most trusted man in America to now being something like number 870. Now that's falling down a pretty steep ravine, and I'm just not sure you can climb back out of it.
And what about Hillary in light of this with her lies about Bosnia and sniper fire? Does this now reopen that?
Well, I think I'm not sure, because there is a lower standard for politicians. I guess there's a certain sense in which politicians are expected to lie. Someone humorously mentioned a few years ago that a gaffe is basically what happens when a politician accidentally tells the truth. So we kind of expect a certain degree of prevarication from politicians, but I do think that Hillary and Obama are in a class of their own.
All right. Dinesh, always great to talk to you, sir. Thank you very much.
A pleasure.
All right, Dinesh D'Souza, folks. Hey, folks, when we come back, we're opening the phone lines up to our viewers, and we're going to be discussing President Obama's claim, as I just talked about with Dinesh D'Souza, that the media is overstating the threats of terrorism, and the now confirmed death of Kayla Mueller, the 26-year-old Arizona woman who was taken hostage by ISIS in August of 2013. If you want to weigh in on either of those topics, call us now, 561-369-0081. Again, 561-369-0081.